In this tutorial we're going to do a 5-point star, and we're going to start off with the center and work our way out. I'm going to show you how to start, and what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the first few lines because they're all different until we get to this line here, and then we actually figure out that everything beyond this point is the same. I'm going to show you how to change color, and then I'm going to show you how to cast off. So let's begin with just a slip knot here, and it's over your finger twice, back over the forward, and back and push up and slip your hook in. I'm using 4-ply Bernat yarn today. I'm using a size G hook. I should actually be using a size J for this yarn. So the bigger the hook and the material just all doesn't really matter too much. You can just reduce your material thickness and your hook and you'll have a smaller star. So let's go on, and this counts as one chain. We need 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now let's create a circle, and what we're going to do is stick your hook into the very first stitch that you did, pull it down like it's a U shape, upside down U, put your index finger and your thumb into position. I want to say nasty finger, so nasty finger and your thumb. So just grabbing the material, pulling it through and through, and by holding it where you did, you know where exactly the center is. And your straggler point, loose end, is actually here as well. So we want to kind of hold those all together and the center open. Let's begin our second rotation. So what we're just going to do is chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Now in crochet terms, that chaining counts as 1 double crochet as well. So we want to do 20 altogether. So just grabbing the material, going into the very center, and once you get that one into the center, you will have established it, so you can let it go and just pull through 2 and 2. So just grabbing the material again, we want a total of 20. And remember what I said, that chaining of 3 counts as 1 double crochet, so we want 20 altogether. So 1, 2, and 3. So let's continue to go. What you want to do too is you want to hide your starting string. So when you stick your needle in, just continue to lay your straggler on top of the line, and then just pull around. And what's happening is that you're crocheting that into position. And I've already stopped counting, so let's get refocused again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, this is 9, this is 10, it's 11, and I'm continuing to hold the straggler in a position. And this is number 12, and usually with baby hats we stop at number 12, but we want 20 altogether. So if you don't have enough room, you can just slide them all down. Because you are going into the center ring, you're not putting it into any stitches. This is the straggler point. At this point we have crocheted enough in there that we can safely trim it. Let's trim that. Okay, so we have now 12 in there. Let's go for 13 all the way to 20. This is 14. This is 15, 16, 17, 18, and I'm starting to really force these in, 19, and 20. So now that we got 20, we now have to make the circle complete. So this is where we chained up on the 3 here. So just go up to the very top one here. So 1, 2, and 3. Stick your hook in. This is called the slip stitch. Slip your hook in, pull through and through, and begins your first. So you'll notice that your circle kind of looks lopsided at this point. It will straighten itself out as you put in the other row. So let's stop here and we'll carry on in just a second. So we're going to start our next round, and what we need to do is chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Now this is the fun part. We actually start making the edges of the star. So in the very next stitch, so you've just chained up here. Okay, so in the very next one we want a single crochet. So just sticking your hook in, pulling it through and through. Okay, and now what we want to do, we're going to be doing a repeat pattern all the way around here to create the points. So let's skip the next stitch on the hook or on the material and then go to the second one over, and we're going to double crochet. So grabbing that material, go 2 and 2, and now we want to put 2 more in there, so a total of 3 into the very same stitch. This is what's creating these corners here. So because we're putting it into the very same stitch. Okay, so we're going up one side of the star at this point, and now let's go on the very top of the stars. So at the very top of the stars, chaining of 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and now let's double crochet going into that very same stitch that we just put those last 3 into. That's all operating. Do you see that? Do you see how all 6 are in the same in the bottom? So this is number 2, and it's number 3. So now going back to the center, circle ring, so the very next stitch we're going to skip, and we're going to go to the second one over for a single crochet. So slam your needle into it and just pull it through as a single crochet. Let's go in again and skip in the next stitch, going the second one over, pull through 2 and 2, and we want to do 3 in that as well. You can remember these points as being very simple as the 3 3 3 configuration, or the triple 3. So we go 3 up the one side of the star, let's go on the top of the star for a chaining of 3, and now let's come down the side of the star with another 3 into the very same hole that you put those other 3 into. So now you can already start seeing that the star is taking shape right in your hands. Okay, so now let's go back to the main ring. We're going to skip the next stitch available. Don't get caught that with your pants down saying that this stitch is part of that. It's not. It's because this is all slammed into one spot. It looks like it's carrying over. So we're going to skip that one, go to the second over for a single crochet, and now we're going to start the next point. So skip that next one, go to the second one over for double crochet. So let's do our triple 3 configuration in. So 3 double crochets, 3 chaining, and 3 double crochets into the same hole. Now in the written format, this is actually pretty complicated, how people write this stuff. It actually took me a bit to understand how these stars are being put together. So let's skip one down in the bottom and go to the second over for a single crochet. And now let's begin another point. So double crochet, so skip the next one, go to the second over. And the original design that I had seen on this, that was a free pattern available online, is that they were asking for 3 up the one side and then chaining 2 in the middle and then 3. So let's do our 3 chain while I'm talking to you, and then going in down the other side for 3. And the point being is that I found that the 2 chainings at the top of the star were making the star not grow properly and actually starting to fold up like a bowl. And everybody knows that with crochet, that if you force too many stitches or don't force enough, it doesn't balance out. So that's what I found with that. So you're going to skip the next one on the line, go to the second one over for a single crochet, and now let's do your last line. So skip the next. So you'll end up just right beside where you've chained up before. You'll end up right there. Okay, so let's put our triple 3 configuration in there. And 3 chainings. So the next line that we're about to do, we're going to be doing something slightly different. The fact is that the way that the blanket is growing right now, or the doily, whatever you want to do with it, it's not yet established its full shape yet. So don't skip ahead without really truly understanding what you're doing. So let's slip stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the very first one that we did the single crochet. So this is the chaining that's leaning over. This is the chain. Let's put it into the chain, grabbing the material, pulling it through and through. And now let's take a quick break, and there you go. You can see a star. So you can actually use this already for a motif if you want to. So let's keep going. Okay, so I want you to look at these stars, and you see that there's gaps in the middles in between the points. So what we need to pay attention is that now we're going to start going on the next rotation. So the point being is that you can't just start chaining up and going on the next rotation. You have to allow the gap. And this, what I'm about to show you, only applies to this line that we're doing here because the full shape has not yet been established. What you need to do is you need to move this over 2 spots. So how to move it over, we're going to slip stitch. So go into the very next stitch on the line, going in, grabbing the material, pulling it through and through. Okay, and now let's do it again. So going through the next one, pulling it through and through. So basically now you've moved yourself off the center, which is what exactly you need to do, and now it's time to chain up. So what we're going to do now is chain up 3, so 1, 2, and 3, which counts as a double crochet, and now we have only one left to go before we do our triple 3. So let's double crochet into the very next stitch, pull through 2 and 2, and now you have to then do the gap on the outside. So this is, now we're going to grow the gap on the outside. This is where your triple 3. So put 3 double crochets into the point. Okay, let's chain our 3, so 1, 2, and 3. It's the very top of it, and now let's come down the other side of it by going into the very same spot for another 3. So you'll do that. So that is the same on every row from this moment to the end of your project. So now what you need to pay attention to is you'll end up with a lopsided star if you don't pay attention to what I'm about to say. You know how we have 2 posts here, so this is the chaining of 1, this is a double crochet, chaining of 3, this is the double crochet, that's what we started, and then we have our 3 and then 3. So we have to make sure that what we do on this side stays the same on the other. So what you need to do is you got to look at this. The first stitch is actually right here. It looks like it's tucked underneath. It always will look like it's tucked underneath, but it's right physically right there underneath. So put in 1 double crochet and then 1 more, and go down to the very next stitch and go 1 more. So basically you did 2 on this side that you can see. Now you have 2 on this side. Now it's time to jump the gap to start making the holes in the center. So what we just do is that we count over the 3, and this is the only line we're going to do it. So 1, 2, 3, and go to the 4th. So the 4th will be the second post before the end of the actual star. So we're just going to double crochet just over like that to cause that gap to happen. So then you basically just double crochet the very next one, and now you're back into the thing. So because you had 2 here, you had 2 here, you should only have 2 here. And now we're going to go work into our triple 3 again for the point. When I first started doing stars, I ended up with stars that were lopsided, and it was the result of not paying attention to the stitch count right in the very beginning to make sure. Because it appears that you have more stitches on the one side than you do the other, and it's because of just the way it looks on the one side. So now you got your 3 in there, so you had only 2 posts over here that were done. Do you see that? 2. So you should only have 2 here, and again it's right underneath. Do you see how that one string is coming there? So that's 1 and 2, and now we're going to jump again. So we count over to the 4th. So 1, 2, 3, and 4th. Or count backward to the second post from the next point. Whatever is easier for you. Okay, and now you got your 2 in there like you got your 2 everywhere else. Now let's go your triple 3 for another point. Now you will find that every time you rotate around this project, you're growing your star in all directions, which means that this project grows really quickly. It does not take very long to actually make a child's Afghan or a motif or anything with this, because you are growing it. So with every revolution you're growing in all directions. So let's do your 2 going down. So again it's just right underneath. Hopefully that you can see that. Okay, so this is our second one, and so now we're going to jump again. So you can either count over 1, 2, 3, or 4, or count the second post back. It doesn't matter as long as you maintain your 2s at this point. And now you got your 2 in, so let's go your triple 3. So with every revolution that you would do, you will actually increase your stitch counting by 2 on every side of the star, and every side meaning every side of the point. So next time we come around here there'll actually be 4, and then 6, and then 8, and then 10. So you can either record that if you want to. I find with my first ever project that I did record 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 20, just to make sure, because I was not growing it properly, and so then I was just counting to make sure. But I guess with my trained eye at this point, I know what I did wrong first, so I know not to repeat that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, let's jump. So we're not going to change the color yet. So we're just do our 2 in like we always did, and let's do our triple 3. So we're not going to change the color yet because the pattern is not yet fully established, and the next line is going to totally make every other line then the same. 1, 2, and 3. So you got to just stay with me for one more line, and if you don't ever feel like changing color, it's up to you, but changing colors on these stars is absolutely brilliant. The viewers have done already an amazing job with really giving some of their stars some really quite quality looks. So we want the 2 on this side, and now we're going to now join them together. So you got your 2 here, and so instead of double crocheting and jumping over to the 4, all you're just going to do is now slip stitch into the top of the other side of the star, pulling it through and through, and that will complete that round. Okay, just like in the last round, just see how we ended up in the middle of this thing? We don't want to be in the middle, we actually want to be over. So from this point forward, every line is going to be the same. So you'll end up over here, over this post, but you want to end up over to the second one over. So in order to move it, you just have to slip stitch into the very next one, grabbing the material, pulling it through and through. And so now you are over top the second post over. Okay, so for every time we're now going around this, we're actually going to be jumping over the 2 middle pieces to give the gap that you see in between all of the stars, all of the star points. Now we're going to crochet up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now this counts as one of the double crochets, so there should only be 3 left, which equaling a total of 4. The last time it was 2, so now you want to work yourself, so it should be 4. So basically you're just double crocheting yourself up the line until you run out into there, and now we're into the end. So let's do our triple 3 like we're always going to do for the remainder of this project. So 3 double crochets, 3 chains, and 3 double crochets. So now we just came down and we had 4 over here. You can kind of see that they're kind of grouped together a bit. It will actually flatten out that you won't see that. So now you got your 4, so then therefore you should have 4 coming down this side as well. So into the bottom of that first one there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now this is where everything is always the same. You should always end up with these 2 posts empty in the middle, so you'll skip over to the third one every time. So 1, 2, and 3, so that you're over top the second post. So that's 1. So you had 4 going up the other sides, so there should only be 4 going up this side. So what happens if you make a mistake and you realize that you're out of alignment? You can always just sneak it in there somewhere, put an extra stitch in there to bring your count back into play. I've been known to do that, especially if you have a really complex fiber yarn, faux fur, eyelash yarn. It can be very easy to skip or add a stitch. So let's, during our triple 3, we've already done our 3 in there. This is our chaining of 3. So we're just working our way all around. So this is a very versatile pattern. I think it makes the most cutest little baby outfit, our baby Afghan, baby's first blanket, you know, being the star. It makes a great play rug. It makes just wonderful. You know, you can stop at the size that's on the board there. You can use it as a coffee table, something under holding it. I don't know. It's up to you. That's why I love this. So again, in the middle, we're skipping over our 2 posts, as you can see, going to the third one over. So there's your 4, and now let's do your triple 3 again. So in the next rotation, what we're going to be doing is changing the color, and the color change is unusual. Like most of the other crafting projects that we do, we don't actually change color right at the very beginning of the rotation, and the simple matter is just the way that this star is formed. If you start it too early, it's going to bleed through to the level underneath of it. So we're just continuing our 4 down the other side. So hopefully you're starting to see a pattern with this. Once you establish your pattern, it's pretty well easy. So there's your 4 coming down the other side. So you should skip over. So you're skipping over that post, that one. So go to the 3rd over, or count the 3rd over for double crochet, which causes that gap to happen. And okay, and now we're on the tip. So it's your 333 configuration on the tips. 1, 2, and 3. So have fun with your colors on these things. The color really makes the difference of this. It's not as brilliant if you use all the same color. If you change it, even using the same color and adding eyelash yarn is actually pretty good too. So we got to come down 4th on this one as well. So the next time we go and rotate around this thing, we're actually going to be doing it in 6 instead of 4. So we've increasing by 2. So there's your 4, jumping over to the 3rd. Just make sure you plan ahead on your color changing. It makes a difference. Sometimes you get too carried away and you make the color bands too thick on there, like you make too much white and you want a consistency. You might end up with the project a lot bigger than you hope for in order to maintain the pattern. So just make sure you're clearly thinking ahead about your color changing and all the colors that you want to use. So there's top of the star again. This is the 333. Okay, and now let's come down the other side, and now this is where we are going to join again because we've gone a full revolution, and we're going to introduce white. So again, we're going to skip over the 2 middle, just slip stitch into the very top of the next section, coming up, and there you go. And there you go, and that completes your next revolution. So once you've done this round, everything else is the exact same what you just did. And now let's change colors, just to have some fun with that and show you how to do that. So let's do that next. As I was blabbing on the last round, I've said that the color changing on the revolutions of this is not clear cut. Like you kind of think, okay, I'm ready for the next revolution, I'm ready to go for white, but you're technically not. And the reason for it is that your hook is still in the center. You have to move it over. So if you change your color here, what's going to happen is you're going to have where you need to transfer over, you're going to have white appearing in this little section. So there will not be any clean gapping as a result. So what you got to do is, just like we did in the last round, we have to move over one space with the slip stitch, but instead of grabbing the blue, what I want you to do, and you would not require knots for this particular idea, but all you want to do is just take your string and loop it. So whatever color you're going to switch to, loop it onto your hook and pull it through and through. So there is your new color just added. And you're like, oh my god, he never even tied a knot. Don't worry about it. What we want to do now is to cut the blue to the same length as the white loose end. Okay, so they're both the same. And what we're going to do now is just continue in the last rotation that we did, just exactly the same. And before you do anything, you just got to kind of hold this white into position. So get in the habit of holding your white and the blue firmly on the top of the line, like so. And now let's chain up 3. So 1, 2, and 3. So do you see, if you would have added that white here, you would have actually had a bleed over in the center point. So let's begin again, and what you're going to do is just stick your needle into the next one, making sure your 2 stragglers stay on top of the line. And see, this white string, when I go to grab it, is going to wrap around the top of that strings that are laying on top and sealing it into position. Okay, so that was 2. So go again. So continue to put those stragglers on the top for about 2 inches of your project. And basically what you're doing is you're trapping that into the yarn permanently. So you don't need to tie any knots and so you won't have any like loose ends coming out. So now you chained up your 3, so that's 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that makes sense because last rotation you had 4. So let's now do our corner piece. So, and I'm again just allowing that straggler to sit on top of the line, because the longer that it's in there without being too long, it really guarantees it from falling out. Basically, by the time that it starts pulling, it will not fall out on you. So it's a really great idea. Okay, so there's going up one side. Let's do your top with your chaining of 3, coming back in, continuing to lag the straggler. Now if your straggler is too long, what you just need to do is just you can just trim it at any point, or just leave it for now and we'll come back to it later and trim. So we went down 6 on this side, let's go 6 on the other. And again, right underneath the bottom of the very first one is the first one of the 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we want to jump, so jump the 2 middle posts and go to the 3rd for a double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So you're going over the 2nd post, and now starting up your 6 again. Okay, so there's your 6. Now let's do your corner again. So every time you want to change colors, do exactly what I'm telling you to do. And if you, again, don't change your colors too early into your project. I would, if I were you, what I would do is, if you're working on this kind of project, is that really get your center start established before you start changing the colors. Therefore, that you can guarantee that every rotation that you do is exactly the same. It's kind of harder if you're still changing colors and you're still not consistent with your rows yet. It's not the same. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So what we'll do is I'll just fast forward the film, just continue to go, and we'll come back and I'll show you how to cast off in this project. So you can cast off at any point depending on what you're making. So let's do that. So we're just going to finish up and I'm going to show you how to cast off. I just got one more stitch to go. And we're just going to finish off, and just like we did before, you just got to reach over and slip stitch to the top of this bad boy over here. So just slip stitch in and pull through and through, and now I'm going to cast off. So what I just do is just trim over my hand. Maybe I'm going to give it way too much. I feel generous today. So I'm just going to pull my hook out, just like so, and give that a really good tug. And now what I want you to do is just grab that material, put your hook in the interior, pull it through, and put it around that twice. And now this is called weaving. So now that it's coming out toward the one side, just like so, I want to stick my hook into the next stitch available on the line coming towards you, pulling it through like that. And now go on to the other side, pulling it through. So you're just weaving it underneath the layers. A lady had a compliment saying that, that it's better to weave it instead of coming out underneath the project. Just weave it underneath the first row of stitches. And I thought that idea was pretty good, actually. I think it's a lot cleaner looking. So you just want to do maybe a couple inches, maybe 3 inches, and don't be scared to put too much in there as well. Like, just don't be cheap on it and not give yourself enough material. So now let's pull it, tug on it. What we're going to do is just trim it, and voila, you now have your own Crochet Super Star. And you will be able to see, like, just got to fluff it up a little bit, but you will be able to see, it's a great little pattern. Considering that it's so simple, it produces quality that is really quite superb. So good luck with that and enjoy.